Okay, this is the assembly that we made in the previous two videos, and in this video I'm going to show you how to add a wheel to it so that it could be part of a drive base. So what we're going to do is place a component. So that's the shortcut P on the keyboard. So place, and what we're going to do is add an axle. So we go to drive shafts, and since this is 2.5 inches wide, I'm going to do a 3-inch one. So we have that, and we're going to put it in an easy place to find because we're going to do it. We're going to constrain it. Press Escape and drag it over here. Now we're going to add a 4-inch wheel, so we need about 2.5 inches clearance on each side, just for margin. So that's 1 inch, 2 inch. This would be 2.5. That would be about right. So what we're going to do is place an axis constraint here, and then we're going to get an axis constraint on the drive shaft or the axle. The way we do that is we zoom in on the axle. Let's zoom out, and we'll go from this angle. Okay, so now what we do, we still have our second constraint set, and if you mouse over one of these corners, you'll see that it actually draws an axis right through the middle of the shaft. So click on one of those corners, and now there's the constraint there. Now, of course, we want this to be flush with the outer edge. So now then we're going to introduce a different type of constraint. This is called a flush constraint. So far we've been doing mate constraints, where that takes two surfaces and puts them face up against each other. Flush puts them the other way, so instead of having them contact each other, they just be side by side. So click this button to change it to flush, and click on your second component. And you'll see here, the axle is now flush to this plate. We can apply that. And now we have our axle. It's sticking right through there. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to add a wheel. So place, we're going to make this an omni wheel. So we come over to wheels, and then we go to omnidirectional wheel. Open, and we're going to place this component. And you'll notice the omni wheels take a little bit longer to place because every roller has 3 components, at least 3 components, the tire piece, the inner roller, and the axle. And then you have all those rollers, the plastic casing, so it takes a bit of time to place this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to constrain the wheel to the axle. Now I'm going to show you how to hide a piece. This will be helpful for editing pieces inside of tight spaces. So we right-click on this piece of C channel, and we'll right-click so we see the whole context menu, and uncheck visibility, and it goes away. And to show it again, you come over here in the model panel. You can see that there's one component that's grayed out. That's the C channel. It's not visible. You right-click and say visibility, and it's re-enabled. You can also make it invisible from the model menu as well. So now we zoom in, and the easiest way to constrain a wheel is it has 4 faces on the inside right there, or it has this center axis here. So see right there on the outside, there's a center axis, and then the other axis here, which would be the same way we got the axis before, clicking that corner. So now we can apply that. we zoom out. Now you'll notice though that the wheel will rotate without the axle rotating, which isn't something we want. Now, it's not so big of a deal right now, but later when you add gears and things like that, you'll want them to rotate together. So we can do that with a rotational constraint. So motion, rotate, and we're going to pick an axis, so this axis here, and the same axis for the wheel, or for the axle or drive shaft that we've had before. And second axis. And we're going to have them rotate the same way. So click apply. And we zoom out. Now when I rotate this, they rotate. Hang on. Nope, they're rotating opposite directions. So when you test that and see that they're rotating opposite directions, come over here to the model menu. We're going to edit the constraint. So click on this tree, come all the way down, and you'll see that there's a rotation constraint here. Click this, or right-click it and click Edit. And switch the direction that they're going to be moving in. And now when we rotate it, they should move the same direction. Now you'll notice this is sliding back and forth along the axle. That's not good either. So we've got to do another constraint. And this would be another mate constraint, except we're going to offset it this time. So we've basically got to find something to mate to. And this is a flat surface right here. And we don't want to do it on this side. We want to do it on the other side. So we rotate around and get the wheel visible again. So we get the face right there. See the arrow? That means that you're on a plane or a flat surface. Now we get to mate it to this C channel. Now, we don't want the wheel all the way up there because you see it's digging into the metal, and that's not good. So we actually can set in an offset right here. So our offset will be, we'll say 1 inch. And we can look top down and see, oh, that's about right for a real wheel. And we click apply. So now when we rotate this, it stays in one plane in this axis here. So now we can make this C channel visible again. And now when we have the C channel visible, we realize that our constraint here was a little bit too wide. So we can edit the constraint, opening up the omnidirectional wheel, coming down to this mate constraint here, right-clicking, edit, and changing this to 0.75. And that's a bit close. We can change it again, 0.8, 9. That's about right. So press OK. Now, if it's difficult to remember what constraints are what, you can rename key constraints that you might be editing a lot. So you can come over here and you just click it a couple times separated. So you can then call this mate offset from C channel, and